Hey everybody, welcome back to Stamping School. The holiday mini catalog should be arriving in mailboxes. I'm hearing that a lot of you have already received it. If you are expecting one from me and you haven't gotten one, drop me an email, okay? Linda@stampingschool.com. So if you ordered from me in the last year, you should be getting one, but addresses change and things get lost in the mail. So drop me an email so I can get you one. It doesn't start until September 4th, so we have a little bit of time. So one of the bundles in here, it's called Autumn Trees. It starts on page 39, I believe. I had a couple questions on how to use it and how it works, so I thought I would do some cards using this one. I am so ready for fall. I can't, it's just been so hot here in North Carolina, and I hear it's gonna cool down soon, but I can't wait. Let me show you what comes in the bundle. So there's a stamp set, and a lot of the dies will coordinate with these. Very fine, detailed stamps. Very, very finely, almost like ink. All right, there's a little elk or a deer buck, okay? And then the dies are, to me, are the best part of it because there's a big tree, and it's quite large, a big tree that's open like this, and then this one will cut out the tree, and then this one goes over the trees. So it'll look something like this. And the deer come in it, and this grass die comes with the dies. So, but there's a little workaround to get it to look right. So, you know, if you're planning on getting this bundle, watch how I make this work. It's not just you cut it and layer it together. There's a little bit extra you have to do with it. But I do like the deer, and I like that it's open-ended. You can make it as big as you want, so you could stamp a greeting or something down here. And this one right here could easily be coral for sea, ocean things. There's a lot of different things you could do with that. There are dies that will cut out this stamped image, that cuts out this one up here, these rocks, and this one cuts out this little boulder here. And this is just little extra foliage that you can stamp on top in here. I found the stamp set to be harder to work with only because you really have to just stamp it all in one color and then go back in and color it, because it's so finely detailed that if you were going to stamp the whole thing in olive, let's say, and then try to use your marker to kind of color in on the stamp and stamp it, it was a lot of work to do that. I would probably just stamp it in espresso and then add all my green on top of it. And then of course the die will cut out that stamped image, which is nice. So let me show you how the dies work, especially this one right here. This is the one that layers on top. And then I'll show you two other ideas that I made with it. So if you have all those scenery papers, like we had so many, this might be Thoughtful Journey maybe. I will check the name and put it in the recipe. But there's so many that I have. I've got packs of these, and they're fantastic, and all of them work great for sceneries like this. So I just cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4, like this one. And then I started with, you have to cut 2 of the trees. So you're gonna cut 1 in a brown, this is pecan pie, and 1 in a green, all right? But to get that to go behind it, you have 2 options. You could come in and color all of this in a dark brown, and it would just be one and done, and then you could do that. Or if you want it to be kind of layered like I have right here, what you can do is you'll cut out these little pieces in the tree. Now some of you are already going to turn off the video because you're like, oh, that's just too much work. It's not. Let me show you. So you just snip out where the branches are. Don't worry how it looks, because it actually looks fine. You're making holes, and once you make these holes, then you can layer over the brown, and the tree branches come through, and it looks great. All right. So I wouldn't even call it fussy cutting. All you're doing is snipping out these branches to make it look more layered. And it just makes it look a little bit more realistic. And I love trees, so this one was a lot of fun to do. There you go. So you can see it's a rough chop, and it won't matter because the leaves are going on top of it. But here's the thing, you can layer this on top, but now you have a green tree trunk, right? So this has got to come out. So you got to just snip this tree trunk out, just like that. And you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna put the other leaves on top, so it will all look natural, just like that. Now I think I want this to be just a wee bit darker. This is the deep blends right here. So I'm just gonna go through and just add a little bit of color on my tree trunk. I could have done it in espresso, but espresso was a little bit too dark. So this way I get a little bit of variation on the colors. And like I said, the green is gonna cover this, so you won't have to worry what it looks like. Now in this green tree also, there are these little, I don't know what you call them, these little score marks. And if you just go to the back and push them down with a paper piercer, it makes them stand up. So it gives it a little bit extra, you know. And if you want to add a little bit of garden green ink, this is garden green paper, and just add a touch of green here and there, I think it makes it look just a little bit more realistic. Just like that. I'm going to show you some other samples too using designer paper instead of solid cardstock, so you can kind of see some different options. And get the good old green glue out, and we're just going to glue this onto the brown like that. Makes it a little sturdier. Okay, so there's that. Then to put the green on top, I cut these also in garden green. So we want to add just a little bit of green ink around here and there just to give it a little bit of something something. Now you can glue this directly on here, but what looks really nice is if you use glue dots, because you want it to kind of be lifted up a little bit, right? So if you just take your glue dots, and these can be cut apart also. And a lot of these, I cut them apart so I can put them where I want them and not be tied to that. For instance, this little one right here, I need to cover that spot. So if you take your glue dot and just pop it right here, it covers that little bridge there, and it makes it look a little bit more natural. And just put a couple strategically placed glue dots, because you don't want to get it where the holes are. You want to kind of get it on the solid parts. And then you can start playing around with where these go. So it gives it this really cool dimension. Because the glue dots are there and the whole thing isn't glued down, you get a little bit extra texture for the person who's getting it. So down here, you're going to want 2 of these, because you're going to want the green, or you could just put a little piece of green cardstock there. But, you know, you want to choose what you want to keep, and we're going to cut off the green deer, because we don't want green deer. And that would go on the bottom of the card. And then this one, you would cut off the deer, all right? And put those in the grass. And I actually like to do it like this. Give it a little something to hold on to, and then you can tuck them down in there. And a little bit of blends or a little bit of sponging on the deer kind of helps to pop them up, but they're cute deer. The other one that's stamped is it looks like that. It almost looks like a reindeer. So that's how I did that one. And it's pretty easy. Once you cut all these little parts and pieces, there's a little bit more work involved. We've had easier trees, I'll be honest. But if you don't have a good tree and you don't have the deer, you know, these are good dies to have. That's what I did on the inside. All right, let me show you some of the other ones. Now this one is the fall version, and I cut it out of the designer paper. Let me show you what that looks like. You know, we have all this great, I think it's autumn something. I'm so bad with the names, but this one is more scenery paper, and it's all fall and on the back, and it's still available, and it's got all these solids on the back side. So I tried a few different things. This one, I cut out of one of the patterns, and I think it's just beautiful for fall. It looks great. You still need to do something about the trunk, obviously. So if you take your darkest blend, you can actually cover over that. Look, this one is the deep. We don't have an espresso, so the deep, there's 2 come in a package, and they're deep. Both deep. I think it's 200 and 100 and 200 are the numbers on it. And you can buy them in a pair. But anyway, look at that. Looks great. It covers up that designer paper enough, you know. And then you're going to do the same thing here. You're going to make these branches dark and just go through and color. Again, it's probably more work than I'd want to do all the time. But I think for a special card, it's nice. And you just kind of work your way through. Or, you know, you get the dark tree base and then you cut these out like we did on the green and you layer it on top. So you have to do one or the other. And then this one, I was trying to find one that had a little bit more pattern out of the paper. I cut this out of the paper and it already has all those colors in it. And then that can just lay on top for a fall card. And that's what I did here. I'm going to change this twine out to the new twine that is it's like the cream and the gold. I think that's going to be prettier. It's going to pick up on my gold sequins. But a little bit of the tiger ribbon and just a simple banner and a little white border and a few sequins in there. It's going to be hard to show on the camera, but it's really pretty in person. A little Wink of Stella on the leaves. So it's a nice fall card. And then for the winter, got all the different seasons here. This is the winter one I did. This one is just all glitter paper and glitter. It's like down here, I did everything in white, and then I decided to put glue on it, and then I added some glitter. And then I decided that was messy and a lot of work, so the top layer is just white glitter paper. So, you know, depending on what kind of paper you have. And then the deer, oops, are just white cardstock. And then a teeny little Merry Christmas down at the bottom. And this paper right here is the back side of one of those kind of papers that's just a light blue. But I think it's nice to do just the glitter paper, the white glimmer paper, because, you know, a lot of us have it already, and it's a few little rhinestones, and it makes a really pretty winter scene. So I like the way this one came out, and I like the leaves on top. It gives a lot of, I don't know if I can get you to see it or not, all that extra texture. So I say if you don't have deer in a tree already, this one is good. If you already have a tree you like and you already have deer, then this one's probably a pass, but I hope you can use these ideas with trees that you already have also. And I have to say, this one might be my favorite. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. See it, learn it, stamp it.